Well, hello everyone, and welcome to week 48 and 49 of my life as a L3 CTS cadet pilot. As you can see behind me, I've been doing a bit of redecorating in the clearways room that I'm staying in. So we've just had our new charts issued, and rather than just bin the old ones, I decided to put them up on our wall so I can actually make the background of my videos a bit more exciting. So on my left, we've got the 1 in 500,000 chart, which covers pretty much most of North Island in this case. This is one chart, this is another one, and I've sort of just blended the two together. And on my right, I have the 1 in 250,000 chart, so it's a slightly more zoomed in version. This is Hamilton, and it's just for covering the general training area, which is just basically like this area here. So, let's crack on with this 2 weeks worth of roundup. Roll titles. So in this 2 weeks roundup, we have got 6 flights that successfully went ahead in this 2 week period. The first one was a general handling flight, which went out to the eastern training area, over towards Matamata and the southern area of it. And the weather on this particular occasion was a bit on the sketchy side. Like when I went for my sign out with my instructor, at first we wasn't too sure whether to go because we had one report that one person had turned back due to cloud. But when we looked out the window, like where I was going, it didn't seem to be too bad. So it was basically a case of, I'll sign you out, but if you feel it's not flyable, don't go, or if you do go, turn back once it becomes a bit of an issue. So basically I flew out up through, wasn't Scotsman's Valley, it was up past Cambridge and past the Carapara Lake. And as I got through this, I could see why some people had turned back, because over at Matamata, down towards Tirau, Putarau, this area, there was just a blanket of fog, and it's literally as if someone just taken a ruler, drawn a line and said, fog on this side, clear on this side. So basically anyone that wanted to do circuits at Matamata couldn't complete their flight, so it was no good for it, which is why they were turning around. But for the flight I was doing, I was not doing circuits on this particular occasion because I had had an extended circuit session on my previous general handling flight, so I felt I could just do normal general handling on this occasion. But it actually ended up being a bit of a I was sort of being a bit of a guinea pig to see what was going on with the weather, because like at the time I went up, I was the only person who was up at the time, so I literally got out towards past Lake Carapara, out towards Matamata, and I was trying to work out where all the weather was whilst doing all my general handling at the same time. And literally once I'd done all my general handling, I was on the way back in, called up on the L3 frequency and just said, look, here's what the weather's doing, and if you've got anyone that's heading out this way, it's up to you whether you sign them out or not. But for what I was doing, it was perfect. Like the cloud base was about 5,000 feet where I was at, whereas like I said, if you wanted to do circuits at Matamata, there was literally like half the runway was perfectly fine and the other half was under fog. So that was quite interesting. Although it turned out no one got signed out after me, because I ended up coming back in special VFR, because the cloud base at Hamilton had dropped to 2,000 feet, and we have to fly the arrival normally at 1,700 feet. Now when you fly into controlled airspace, Class D, which Hamilton has, you have to be 500 foot clear of cloud, and the cloud base being at 2,000 feet, that's only giving me 300 feet. So when I got to Cambridge and requested entry into the zone, I had to request special VFR and come in at a lower altitude. I think it was 1,400 feet I chose in the end. So another good experience of weather on that flight. It was crystal clear and smooth. So I've got more notes again. What did I do after that? Ah yes, so a few days later we did instruments flight number 5. Now at this point I've covered all of the syllabus for instrument flying, so rather than just dedicating the whole flight to instrument revision, we're now doing basically a mock PT1 profile. And PT1 is basically the exam we do at the end of the basic phase, and if we don't pass it, we have to do remedial training before being put onto another exam and hopefully some larger aircraft, which includes the DA-42 Twin Star. And on this occasion, what did we fly? Let's have a look. Ah yes, we flew to a place called Te Kuiti, which is down here. And for those of you who don't know what Te Kuiti airfield is like to land at, I'll give you an idea of how it goes. It's basically in a valley, so the approach is quite steep, you can't approach low and you're quite near terrain. And also, the first part of the runway is tarmac, the second part of the runway is gravel, and the last bit is grass. And it's not long, hence why this airfield for L3 cadets is a dual flight only. We can't go in there solo. And the first approach I shot, I thought I was on profile, and actually I was quite high, ended up fast, and ended up initiating a go around at 200 feet. I was at that point thinking, well, there's no way I'm going to be able to stop before the end of the runway, so round I went. Second time I came in, my instructor was like, you've got to get silly low, like, it will feel wrong, but it's right. And literally I was coming in and I was like looking down thinking, we're probably only about 50 feet above the trees, it's nothing. But in the end, got it down the runway, did a touch and go, powered up and took off again. And I can see why it's a dual only airfield. After Te Kuiti, we then diverted from here, Te Kuiti, to Tahara Iron Sands. And whilst en route to Tahara Iron Sands, I had to plan a diversion to Raglan Airfield. And we're not allowed to use any navigational equipment. We have to do it all through using the map and just eyeballing all of the angles. And yeah, when it's bumpy, it's quite hard to draw a straight line. So that was good fun. Anyhow, the next flight after that, I had another crack at going to New Plymouth, still trying to get to New Plymouth I am. And yeah, got up and the cloud base was being reported at 4,500 feet, so that is more than good enough to get from Hamilton to New Plymouth. There's a little bit of terrain around, but the route I planned was well clear of terrain, so 4,000 feet cloud base, no problem. So I got signed out. Got out to the aircraft, all ready and raring to go for a nice epic 2.5 hour flight to New Plymouth and back. And literally took off on, I think it was runway 36, turned onto the downwind to exit south direct on track towards Te Kuiti on this occasion. And I was on the downwind and I could see clouds starting to go past me at the same altitude. I was like, up at 1,200 feet, we'll see how this goes. So anyhow, pressed on, called clear the control zone to the south, and then there was a fair bit of cloud in front of me. I was thinking, I want to see if this is isolated or whether it's a blanket layer of clouds. So I climbed up to, I think it was 2,300 feet, and I'll describe the view that I could see down towards New Plymouth as looking at the top of a duvet. It was just sheet cloud, and there was no way I was going to be able to get to New Plymouth on a VFR flight. So straight away, turned back around, descended down to 1,200 feet again, called up Hamilton Tower and just said, there's no way I'm going to get to New Plymouth, can I come back in please? And sure enough, gave me a straight in approach for runway 36. I think I messed up the circuit pattern a bit, but yeah, it was good fun. But yeah, so once again, wasn't able to get to New Plymouth, but the next day, same forecast came out, 4,500 foot cloud base. And I was like, great, seen all this before. Got signed out and I was like, here we are, I'm waiting for it. Took off and then I realised the cloud base was actually not 4,000 or 4,500 feet. It was actually nearer 5,000 or 6,000 feet, and I finally made it to New Plymouth after 9 cancellation flights and that white flight that I just mentioned. And it was a really good flight, to be honest. If I had to do the flight again, I would definitely pick a different turning point. I picked a town called Aria, which is it's down here somewhere. Can't even find it on the map, it's that small, but it had a slightly larger dot in it, so I was thinking, oh, it's probably got about 100 houses on it. Nope. It was only 5 houses and 9 impossible to spot. Well, I did find it, so I was very pleased with myself, but if you want to do this route yourself, I would recommend picking a place called Pio. That was much easier to spot, and it's probably only a few miles adjustment on the route. And New Plymouth, flew the arrival procedure, controllers there, very friendly, although there was like hardly anyone there. I think I was one of 2 aircraft that I heard on the frequency, so that was quite nice. Did a touch and go on the runway, and then flew back to Hamilton. Pretty uneventful flight, to be honest. So that was good fun. So that was another nav flight out of the way. The next flight I did, however, was night 1. Now for me, this is completely new. Never done night flying before, and it was also with an instructor I've never flown with before, so this is going to be a good experience. And the way I can start with night flying is, it's not difficult, it's just a completely different kind of difficulty. Like, if you want to spot like ground features like lakes, roads, terrain, forget about it. It's not lit up. The only thing you can really navigate by is motorways, which are lit up, which in New Zealand is almost non-existent. Large towns, again, not many of them. And that's about it really. There isn't really much to navigate by. So, whenever we do night circuits, we have to plan a flight to Auckland. Sounds ridiculous being a 2-seat aircraft, but we have to do that in the event that, for some reason, Hamilton's runway gets closed. Not many runways in North Island have lighting, so basically it leaves us with Ardmore, which I've never been to, or Auckland. So if Hamilton's runway gets closed at night, there's going to be a lot of light aircraft heading up to Auckland and rubbing elbows with the A380s that are coming in, so that'd be interesting. But anyhow, the very first thing we do, we start flying the nav leg to Auckland, and then once we get to, say, Huntley, which is up here, we then do a diversion down to Temple View, which is where the arrival for Hamilton starts, and then we come back in. Now, Hamilton, at the time I was flying, Hamilton Tower goes off watch, which basically means Hamilton Airfield becomes uncontrolled. So it's basically a bit of a free-for-all in the circuit. So I had to do a standard overhead join into a quite busy circuit. I believe there was 6 of us doing circuits that evening, so that was pretty chaotic. I did 2 touch and goes and a full stop landing. With Hamilton's runway, it doesn't have any centerline lighting, so you are relying on where the lights are on the edge of the runway in your peripheral vision to guess where the runway is. And the first landing I did was a bit on the heavy side because I flared too early. The next one I did landed a bit flat, and the last one was pretty good. Also on that last one, my instructor simulated an electrics failure on the aircraft, which basically meant there was no landing light on the aircraft, which basically means you can't see any of the runway even at 50 feet, because once you get down to about 50 feet, you can normally see the runway centerline because your landing light lights it up. But when you have an electrics failure, nope, you are literally landing into a black hole with 2 lines drawn up the side of it. Very difficult to land. Overall, very good experience, and I'm really looking forward to getting back into the night circuit. More flying for me. So, what does that leave me with? Oh yes, so I've got one more 2.5 hour nav flight to round up, and whenever I do a sign-out sheet for a solo flight, I've always got my epic route planned, and then I've got my bad weather route planned. And on this particular day, the cloud base was at 3,000 feet, and all of my epic routes require an altitude much higher than that. So I had to do the not-so-epic routes, which on this occasion, probably best to go on this chart, was Hamilton to Port Waikato, Port Waikato to Thames, which is an airfield, but we can't land there, so I'll just overfly it. Thames down to Tokoroa, which is another airfield, flying via the Matamata Mandatory Broadcast Zone. And then from Tokoroa, I planned an in-flight diversion to Te Kuiti, but as I got en route to Te Kuiti, I realised that the flight was running a little bit behind schedule, and that operations at L3 required my aircraft back by a certain time, and I realised that was going to be tight if I went to Te Kuiti. So en route to Te Kuiti, I then planned another diversion to Cambridge, where I managed to fly the east arrival back into Hamilton. And overall that was a very good flight. I think I managed to arrive pretty much bang on time, but it was tight. But yeah, good fun. So on that note, I'd like to say thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with anyone who you feel might be interested in the series. So coming up in the next episode, probably going to be finishing off night flying, I reckon, because we have to do the night dual to solo flight, and to get the night rating we have to complete 5 solo pilot and command landings to get the night rating. So on top of that, we're also going to have some more navs. I'm hoping to do one of our more epic routes, to say like Mount Ruapao, Coromandel Peninsula, something like that. Something a bit less boring than just doing one lap round Hamilton, because that gets a bit samey after a while. Anyway, on that note, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Take it easy. Bye bye.